Pass the salt, Liam, I said, grinning across the table. He tossed it over without looking up. You still eat like you're in college, Ethan. 3 helpings already? Sophia laughed softly. He works hard. Let him enjoy his food. Her voice always had that warmth, the kind that made silence feel alive. My parents chuckled, and for a moment I thought, this is what happiness should look like. Mom said, it's good to have the boys home. Liam, you barely visit anymore. I've been busy, he replied, eyes flicking toward Sophia. It was quick, almost nothing, but I noticed. I tried to brush it off. Busy with what? That startup you won't tell us about? Dad cleared his throat. Let him eat. He'll share when he's ready. Dinner carried on with laughter, teasing, and old memories. Sophia leaned against my shoulder as I poured her wine. You're always the perfect host, she whispered. Only because you make it look easy, I said, smiling. Liam's fork scraped his plate. Still can't believe you two bought this place. It's massive. Sophia smiled. It's home. Something about the way she said it made me look at her, and then at him. There was a flicker in their eyes, something faint, gone in an instant. My chest tightened. I shook my head, forcing a laugh. Don't look so jealous, little brother. You'll have your own someday. He smirked. Maybe sooner than you think. Mom interrupted. All right, no rivalries tonight. It's a family dinner. After dessert, Dad poured drinks in the living room. Liam talked about work, Sophia asked questions, leaning in closer than usual. I told myself it was just her way, kind, open, curious. But when she laughed at his joke, touching his arm, something inside me stirred. I excused myself to the kitchen. Standing there, I stared at the reflection in the window, the man with everything he ever wanted. Job, wife, family. So why did I feel uneasy? Sophia came in. You okay? Yeah, I said, forcing a smile. Just thinking. About work again? About us, actually. She frowned. What about us? Nothing bad. I'm grateful. For you. For this. Her eyes softened. Don't get sentimental on me now. I can't help it. I feel lucky. She reached up, kissed my cheek. Then don't ruin it by overthinking. Behind her, I saw Liam through the doorway watching us. He smiled faintly and turned away when our eyes met. Come back, Sophia said. They're waiting. I followed her, laughing when Dad told one of his usual stories. Everything looked perfect again, almost too perfect. As everyone left later that night, Liam clapped my shoulder. You've got a good life, Ethan. Don't ever lose it. I smiled back. Wouldn't dream of it. When the door closed behind him, Sophia yawned. He's right, you know. We're lucky. I nodded, staring at the dark window. Yeah, lucky. I didn't know then, that dinner would be the last time I believed it. The first time I noticed it felt small. Harmless. Liam's car was in the driveway when I came home early from work. I walked inside calling out, Liam? Sophia? From the kitchen, Sophia's voice rose quickly. Hey, you're home early. Liam appeared behind her, grinning. Just dropped by. Thought I'd help Sophia fix the garden light. The garden light? I raised an eyebrow. Didn't know you were into landscaping now. He shrugged. Just lending a hand, bro. Sophia added, you've been working late. I didn't want to bother you. I smiled, forcing a laugh. Guess I should start checking my own schedule before you two make plans. They both laughed, but it sounded practiced. Later that night, as we sat watching TV, Sophia's phone buzzed. She grabbed it before I could see. Who's that? I asked casually. She smiled faintly. My mom. She's asking about the weekend. Something in her tone was too quick, too rehearsed. You could have answered on speaker. She frowned. You don't trust me? I didn't say that. Then stop looking for problems that aren't there. Her words stung more than I expected. I let it drop, pretending the room didn't suddenly feel smaller. The next day Mom called. Ethan, don't be so hard on Liam. He's just lost. He needs guidance. Guidance? He's 30, Mom. I know, but he looks up to you. Be patient with him. Yeah, I muttered. Patient. When I came home again, Liam's jacket was hanging on the chair. I picked it up and froze. It smelled faintly of Sophia's perfume. My hands tightened. Sophia walked in. You're home early again. Yeah, I said slowly. Liam was here? She hesitated. He dropped something off. Why? I showed her the jacket. This. Oh, she said, too calm. I borrowed it when I went outside. It was chilly. I nodded, pretending to believe her. Makes sense. That night I wrote it down. Liam's car, 5 p.m. Perfume on jacket. Phone, her mom. Each note felt like a tiny betrayal carved into paper. Days blurred together. I watched Sophia grow quieter around me, more distant. She smiled less, laughed less, texted more. When I asked what was wrong, she said, "You've been tense lately. Maybe you need a break." "I'm fine," I said, though I wasn't. "Are you?" She gave a small nod, eyes darting away. "Of course." That night I woke to a whisper, her voice soft, urgent. "Yeah. I miss you too." I sat up. "Sophia?" She jumped, clutching her phone. "It's just Mom," she said quickly. "She can't sleep." "At midnight?" She forced a laugh. "She worries too much." I looked at her for a long moment. "Right?" She turned away, pretending to fall asleep. I didn't move. I reached for my phone, opened the Notes app, and typed one more line. "She's lying. I just don't know why yet." I stared at the screen, the glow reflecting off my shaking hands. And for the first time I felt afraid of my own house. The night was too quiet. I walked down the hallway, the soft murmur of voices slipping from the kitchen. "We can't keep this up forever," my father said. My mother sighed. "It's better this way. He doesn't need to know. It'll destroy him." My heart stuttered. "He doesn't need to know?" I stepped closer. "Know what?" They froze. My mother's face turned pale. "Ethan, what are you doing up?" "I heard you," I said, my throat tightening. "What are you hiding from me?" She exchanged a look with Dad before saying, "It's nothing, honey. Just family talk." "Don't lie to me," I snapped. "You said keeping it from me. What does that mean?" Dad rubbed his forehead. "You're overthinking again. Go get some rest." "Don't treat me like a child," I said, voice cracking. "You're hiding something. About Liam, aren't you?" My mother's tone sharpened. "Stop it, Ethan. Some truths destroy families. Leave it alone." "Destroy families?" I repeated softly. "So there is something." Her eyes filled with tears, but she turned away. "Go to bed. Please." I stood there for a moment, heart pounding so loud it drowned everything else. Then I walked out without another word. That night I didn't sleep. I lay staring at the ceiling, every whisper replaying in my head. He doesn't need to know. It'll destroy him. When morning came, Sophia was already dressed. "You're up early," I said quietly. She smiled faintly. "Couldn't sleep." "Yeah," I murmured. "Me neither." She avoided my gaze. "Your mom called earlier." She sounded worried. "About what?" "Didn't say." I studied her face. "Sophia, are you hiding something from me too?" Her expression froze for half a second. Then she shook her head. "No." "Why would you even ask that?" "Because everything feels wrong," I said. "You, Liam, my parents, everyone's acting like I'm blind." "Maybe you're just imagining things," she whispered. "You've been under a lot of stress." I took a step closer. "Then look me in the eye and tell me you don't know what's going on." She did, but her eyes trembled. "I don't." I nodded slowly. "Right. Of course." That night I tried to kiss her. She turned away. "I'm tired," she said softly. "You're always tired lately," I whispered. "Did I do something wrong?" "No," she said. "I just need space." I sat there, staring at her back as she drifted to sleep, or pretended to. In the darkness, I felt like a stranger in my own house. Every sound, the creak of the floor, the ticking clock, felt like a reminder that I didn't belong here anymore. I pulled out my phone and opened the notes again. Parents hiding something. Sophia distant. Truth near, too close. My chest ached. I wanted to know. I needed to know. But as I lay there, listening to her slow breathing beside me, a single thought echoed louder than everything else. Maybe the truth really can destroy me. The flight landed earlier than planned. I didn't tell anyone. I just wanted to surprise Sophia. Maybe make up for the distance between us. When I reached home, the lights were dim. Music played softly upstairs. I frowned. "Sophia?" I called, but no answer. Her car was in the driveway. Liam's too. My heart sank a little, but I forced a smile. "Maybe he dropped by again," I muttered. As I climbed the stairs, I heard laughter, hers and his, low, playful. Something inside me cracked. I pushed the door open. Silence. Sophia froze, half covered in the sheets. Liam's face went white. For a moment, no one breathed. "Ethan," she started, voice trembling. I stared at them. My throat burned. "Say something," I whispered. Liam stepped forward, panicking. "It's not what you think." "Don't," I said quietly. "Don't insult me with that." Sophia's tears fell fast. "Please listen." I am listening, I said. Go on. Tell me what this is. She shook her head, covering herself. It just happened. We didn't mean. Didn't mean? I laughed softly, though it came out broken. You didn't mean to destroy everything? Liam looked like he wanted to disappear. I swear, Ethan, it was a mistake. A mistake. I repeated. You slept with my wife. He tried to speak again, but I raised a hand. Don't. Not one more word. The room felt smaller, heavier. My chest tightened, but I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. I just stood there, watching the people I loved most crumble in front of me. Sophia reached for me, sobbing. Please don't go. We can fix this. Fix. I whispered. You think this can be fixed? Her tears blurred my vision. I love you, Ethan. I made a mistake, but I still love you. I shook my head slowly. No, Sophia. You don't get to say that now. Liam tried again. Brother, please? Don't call me that, I said. My voice came out so calm it scared me. You lost that right tonight. I turned toward the door. Ethan, please, Sophia cried. Talk to me. I paused at the doorway, staring at the floor. I did everything for this family. I trusted both of you. And this is what I get. No one replied. Just the sound of her sobs and his shaky breathing. I stepped out, closing the door behind me. The silence felt heavier than any scream I could have given. Downstairs, I grabbed my keys with shaking hands. I didn't look back. As I drove away, the headlights caught the house in the rearview mirror, the place I built with love, now just a shadow of betrayal. My chest ached, but no tears came. Only numbness. The laughter I'd heard minutes ago replayed in my mind, echoing like a cruel joke. By the time the house disappeared from view, I whispered to myself, that wasn't my home anymore. I didn't sleep that night. By morning, I'd decided I needed answers. Not just from them, but from everyone who let this happen. When I called my parents, my voice was steady. I'm coming over. Get everyone there. We're going to talk. My mother sounded nervous. Ethan, maybe? No, I cut her off. No more secrets. By evening, the living room was filled. Mom, Dad, Liam, and Sophia. No one could look me in the eye. I stood in front of them, fists tight. So, I began, who wants to explain how long you've all been lying to me? Sophia sobbed softly. Ethan, please? Don't, I said sharply. You had your turn. Now it's mine. Liam looked at Mom. Maybe I should. Yeah, you should, I snapped. Go ahead, Liam. Tell me why you betrayed me and acted like nothing happened. He swallowed hard. I didn't mean for it to happen. It just. Don't say, it just happened, I interrupted. You don't trip and fall into my wife, Liam. Mom flinched. Ethan, stop. We can't fix this if you keep yelling. I stared at her. Fix this? You knew, didn't you? She froze. Your father and I. You knew. I shouted. My voice cracked. You let me eat dinner with them, hug them, trust them, while you already knew? Dad spoke quietly. We didn't want to destroy the family. The family? I laughed bitterly. You destroyed me. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Ethan, family is family. Sometimes forgiveness. Don't you dare, I said, trembling. Don't preach forgiveness to me. You hid this. You watched me live a lie. Sophia cried harder. I begged them not to tell you. I thought it would kill you. It did, I said coldly. Just not the way you think. Liam tried again. I'm sorry, brother. I'll do anything. Stop calling me that. I roared. You're not my brother anymore. The room went silent except for Sophia's sobs. Dad looked away ashamed. Son, please. Let it go. What's done is done. Let it go. I repeated, laughing through the pain. That's what you all want, isn't it? So you can keep pretending nothing happened. Mom reached out. Ethan, please. Don't walk away from your family. I stepped back. You're not my family. Not anymore. Sophia stood shaking. Where will you go? Anywhere you're not, I said. That should be far enough. I turned toward the door. My mother's voice broke behind me. Ethan, don't do this. I paused, hand on the knob. For a moment I almost looked back. But I couldn't. I trusted you all, I whispered. And you buried me in lies. Then I walked out, closing the door on everything I thought I knew. The night air hit my face, cold and sharp. My car keys felt heavy in my hand. As I drove off, I heard her voice echo faintly, my mother's desperate cry, Ethan, come back. But I didn't. Not this time. The days blurred together after I left. I stopped counting time. Morning or night, It all looked the same through an empty bottle. My new apartment smelled of dust and whiskey. The walls were bare just like me. One evening there was a knock on the door. I didn't move at first. Ethan? A soft voice. Eva. My coworker. I sighed. You found me. She stepped in holding takeout. You missed 3 days of work. I was worried. I'm fine, I lied, slumping on the couch. She looked around. This place says otherwise. I poured another drink. Want one? She frowned. No thanks. You shouldn't either. Too late, I muttered. Silence settled. She sat across from me, eyes calm. Do you want to talk about it? I almost laughed. Everyone wants to talk. No one wants to listen. I do, she said softly. Something in her tone broke the dam. The words spilled out, every detail, every betrayal, every look I couldn't unsee. I told her about Sophia. About Liam. About my parents. When I finished, the room felt heavier. Ava didn't look away. That's a lot, Ethan. I'm sorry. I scoffed. Don't be. They're the ones who should be sorry. They probably are, she said. I glared at her. Don't tell me to forgive them. I wasn't going to. That made me pause. You weren't. She shook her head. Forgiving isn't healing. You can heal without excusing what they did. Her words hit harder than I expected. Then what am I supposed to do? Start by surviving, she said. Then when you're ready, decide what justice looks like to you. Justice, I repeated, staring at the glass in my hand. I used to think justice meant peace. Now it feels like fire. Ava's eyes softened. Maybe you need to burn what's left before you can rebuild. I didn't respond. Instead, I reached for my phone and opened old photos. Sophia laughing beside Liam, family dinners, birthdays. Every image stabbed deeper. Why are you looking at those? Ava asked quietly. Because I need to remember, I said. Not to miss them, but to remind myself what lies look like when they smile. She nodded slowly. Then remember. But don't live there. I turned the screen off and exhaled. You sound like someone who's been here before. Maybe I have, she whispered. That night after she left, her words kept echoing. Decide what justice looks like. So I started collecting. Screenshots of texts, photos, receipts, hotel bookings, little pieces of proof I'd ignored before. I didn't know what I was building, revenge or closure, but it gave me something to wake up for. Every file I saved felt like a piece of my soul clawing back. Maybe I didn't want forgiveness. Maybe I wanted them to feel what it's like to lose everything. I poured one last drink and stared at the city lights outside my window. Justice, I whispered to myself, starts with remembering. And for the first time in weeks, the silence didn't hurt as much. I decided it was time. No more quiet. No more pretending the truth would heal on its own. I opened my messages and started forwarding screenshots, timestamps, hotel receipts, and those late-night texts. I wrote one line, read and decide for yourself. Then I hit send. Ava, are you sure? She asked when I told her what I planned. I've never been more sure, I said. They lied to me. They covered it up. Everyone deserves to know. You're angry, she said softly. But be careful. This could destroy more than reputations. I want them to feel the hurt they gave me, I replied. I want them to watch their lies burn. The first replies came faster than I expected. Margaret, Mom's friend, messaged, "Why would you do this to family?" The responses kept coming, shock, denial, then anger. People I hadn't heard from in years called my parents. Voices I grew up with demanded answers. My phone buzzed. Liam's name on the screen. "Ethan, please don't do this," he messaged. "Why not?" I typed back. "Because you think consequences are for other people?" He called. I let it ring out until he stopped. I wanted him to feel the silence. Then Sophia called. Her name lit my screen and my fingers hovered. "Ethan, please. Please stop." "I can explain," she begged when I answered. "Explain?" I said. "Make it sound like a story I want to believe." "It was a mistake," she said, voice breaking. "I never wanted to hurt you." "Mistake," I repeated. "Mistake is when you spill coffee, not when you ruin someone's life." "Sophia, I loved you," I said quietly. "Do you know what that feels like now? Knowing the one you trust slept with your brother?" "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I'm so sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix this," I said. "It doesn't bring back trust. It doesn't make the nights I spent waiting less empty." Her cries filled the line. I listened for a moment, then put the phone down and walked away. Through the speaker she kept pleading, "Ethan, please don't make them suffer more. They're broken too. Broken. Maybe. But not broken like me. Not when every lie was a brick in the wall they built around me. Word spread like wildfire. Liam lost his job after a call from one of his manager's relatives. Neighbors confronted my parents on their porch. Mom stopped answering the phone. My father's face betrayed him when someone shouted at the gate. At work, whispers followed me down the hall. Some people avoided my eyes, others offered a tight nod. One coworker said, "You did the right thing." Another just shook his head and walked away. That night, Ava sat with me on my couch, silent and steady. "Do you feel better?" she asked finally. "A little," I admitted. "I feel in control for the first time in months." "That control can be dangerous," she warned. "Don't let it become everything you look for." "Maybe," I said. "But it's mine now, even if it's cold." I stared at the files on my laptop, the proof that had eaten me alive for weeks. Now it lay bare and ugly. My hands trembled, not from fury this time, but from something colder, power. I whispered into the dark, "This is what truth looks like." Outside, the night felt different. The world kept moving, but the house I grew up in was no longer the same home to me. Inside, messages chimed, phones rang, and mouths moved. I had opened a door I wished I could close. But I had also shown them what I had learned while they lied. For the first time since that night, I didn't feel small. The apartment smelled faintly of coffee and paper. I sat at my desk, scrolling through old messages I'd saved, my hands tense. Each notification on my phone made me flinch, but I didn't answer. I knew it would be Mom. I finally listened to the voicemails. Her voice cracked, trembling. "Ethan, family shouldn't destroy family. Please, just call me." I pressed delete. I didn't need her explanations. I didn't need apologies. I needed silence. Ava knocked softly before entering. "You're quiet today," she said, setting a cup of tea beside me. "I'm trying to enjoy it," I muttered, staring at the messages. "But it all comes back, the lies, the betrayal." She sat beside me, calm, gentle. "You can't erase what happened. But you can stop letting it control you." "I've stopped them," I said, voice low. "I exposed everything. Liam lost his job, Sophia's reputation. It's done." Her eyes softened. "And does it make you feel better?" I paused, gripping the cup. Steam fogged my glasses. "It doesn't. It's not satisfaction. Closure maybe. Something like control." Ava smiled faintly. "Closure is enough. Revenge only heals the surface. It doesn't touch the wound inside. You need to breathe to live again." I nodded, more to myself than to her. "I've spent months in smoke and whiskey. I can't go back to that. I don't know normal." "Normal takes time," she said. "But you're starting. Look at yourself, you're still standing." I leaned back, exhaling slowly. My apartment had walls again, not ghosts. I remembered the silence after my parents' pleas, the quiet after Liam tried to contact me. It had been deafening, but it had also given me space to breathe. "You look lighter today," she added. "Not free of the past, but lighter." I chuckled bitterly. I think I'm finally understanding. Revenge was satisfying for a second. But watching them suffer doesn't fix my chest. She reached out, resting her hand over mine. "You don't need it to. The world hasn't forgiven them, or you, but forgiveness isn't for them. It's for you." I stared at her, at the warm hand over mine, and felt something I hadn't in months. Peace. Not happiness, not joy, but calm. A moment without fire, without betrayal, without rage. "You're right," I said softly. "It stops the bleeding even if the wound is still there." We sat together in silence. Outside, the city buzzed, indifferent. Inside, I allowed myself to breathe, to feel the weight lift fraction by fraction. Karma had done its work quietly. I didn't need to watch it anymore. I looked in the mirror later that night. For the first time, I could meet my own eyes. The reflection didn't smile, didn't gloat, didn't forgive, but it acknowledged me. I whispered to myself, "I'm still here. I survived. I'll rebuild." The knock on my apartment door startled me. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened it to find my father standing there, coat in hand, eyes heavy. "Ethan," he said softly, "can we talk?" I stepped aside, letting him in. Silence stretched between us. Finally he took a breath. I need to apologize," he began. "For everything. For staying silent. For protecting Liam instead of you." I sat on the edge of the couch, letting the words hang. "Protecting him?" I asked, voice flat. "You hid their betrayal. You all did." He flinched. We thought it would destroy the family. We made a mistake. I made a mistake. I watched my wife and brother in my own house. And you made the choice to protect them instead of me, I said quietly. My anger had faded, leaving a hollow calm. I know, he whispered. I know, and I'm sorry. Your mother, she's been sick from guilt. The guilt almost killed her. I studied his face. There were lines I hadn't noticed before, worn from years of decisions and regrets. Sick from guilt doesn't erase what happened, I said. He nodded, looking down. I understand. I wanted you to hear it from me. I sighed, feeling the weight of months lift slightly. I'm listening. He paused. She wants to see you. What? I think it's important for you both to speak, even if only for a moment. I agreed. Driving to my parents' house felt strange. The streets were the same, but the air seemed heavier. I walked in and saw her sitting in the living room, eyes red, hands trembling. Ethan, she whispered, standing as I entered. I knelt beside her, taking her hands in mine. I came, I said softly. Tears ran freely down her cheeks. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. For everything. For hiding, for not being brave enough to tell you. You didn't just lose a son, I said quietly. You lost my respect. Her shoulders shook. I know. I can't ask for forgiveness. I let go of her hands slowly. You don't get it. Not now. Maybe never. But I'm not here to hate you anymore. I turned and walked to the door. The silence after that felt different, cleaner, final. Back at my apartment, a letter slid under my door. I picked it up, recognizing Sophia's handwriting. My chest tightened for a moment. I read the first line in my mind, I still love you. I set the envelope aside, unopened. Some things were meant to remain untouched. I exhaled, sitting down. For the first time in months, I felt the calm that follows a storm. Not joy, not relief, just peace. The past had its echoes, but I didn't need to answer them. I was still standing, still breathing, and that was enough. The car engine hummed beneath me as I drove along the coast, windows down, wind tossing my hair. I hadn't realized how long it had been since I'd just driven alone, thinking. No calls, no messages, no obligations, just the hum of tires and the pull of the sea. I stopped at a lookout, the waves crashing far below. I leaned on the railing, letting the cold air hit my face. Ava's voice came to mind, gentle and steady. Pain doesn't define you. It shapes you. I whispered to myself, I think I'm finally starting to understand that. At therapy, I learned to speak in ways I hadn't allowed myself before. I felt hollow, I told Dr. Miller. Like someone had erased parts of me. And now, she asked, pen poised. I looked out the window. Now, I'm not whole. But I'm mine again. That's enough. Ava had become a constant in my life. Not in a loud, intrusive way, just present. Come. Sometimes she laughed, light and easy, and I thought maybe one day it could be more than friendship. But I didn't rush. I'd learned the cost of moving too fast. One evening, I sat in my apartment with a box of old memories. Letters, photos, gifts, all relics of a time that had broken me. My hands trembled as I pulled out the last photo. Sophia and Liam, laughing at some moment I'd once envied. I stared at it, letting memories rise and fall. Then I lit a match. The flames swallowed the paper quickly, curling edges black, turning gray, then ash. You took everything, I whispered to the empty room. But you also gave me myself back. I watched until nothing remained, only the faint scent of smoke. It was relief I hadn't expected. Not triumph. Not revenge. Just the quiet exhale of a man who had carried too much for too long. Ava knocked, soft as ever. Everything okay? I smiled, holding the empty box. Better than okay. Free, actually. She leaned against the doorframe. Free is good. You've earned it. I have, I said, letting the words sink in. It wasn't easy. Pain, it taught me what I need, what I can endure. And who I want beside me when I rebuild. She smiled faintly, stepping inside. I'll be here. No rush, no pressure. Just me if you want. I nodded. That's exactly what I need. Later I drove again, this time without looking back. The coastline stretched, open and unbroken. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like a man carrying a grave of betrayal. I felt alive. Capable. Whole in ways that had nothing to do with Sophia or Liam, nothing to do with anger or revenge. I whispered to myself, watching the horizon. I'll rebuild. Slowly, carefully, and it will be mine, all mine. The wind rushed past, the waves roared beneath, and I smiled. Freedom wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, steady, and finally mine.